Hey there, this is Amelia here. Welcome to Amelia's crossdressing story. Today we are going to share a story called Never Wanted to Be a Girl Part 5. By Teddy. For more interesting and exclusive stories, please subscribe to my channel and support me at Patreon. After we ate, and Tia had finished her daily abuse of my feet, she propelled me towards my room. She hollered too, and if you hear any passionate screaming, applaud. And gave her a thumbs up, and as soon as Tia had rolled me inside, she closed and locked the door. I woke the next morning feeling incredibly relaxed. Tia was snuggled against me, smiling, and felt so warm and soft. She helped me get dressed in some of my new clothes, and borrowed some for herself. When she wheeled me out the door, Mom, Dad, and were waiting at the table for us. I guess there was no mistaking the satisfied look on our faces. I'm jealous. Mom and Dad won't even let me stay out past midnight. And was giggling. Did you too? Mom looked worried. Don't worry, Samantha isn't going to get pregnant. And no, we didn't. At least not what you are thinking, did we? She bent down to give me a kiss, so I pulled her onto my lap and returned the favor. Samuel, we have a rule in this house about sleepovers. Dad looked peeved. Hey, you let me have girlfriends stay over, why not Samantha? Dad gave a strange look and clamped his jaw shut. Well, breakfast is getting cold. Mom had the right idea. And I was hungry after all that exercise. When we were finished, Mom asked us what our plans were for the day. We're going to meet the rest of the gang at the park and go swimming, and there's supposed to be a free concert later at the town square, so... Wait a minute. And Tia jumped, and I spilled some of my milk. Who said you were going out dressed like that? Dad was turning a bit purple. Before I could say anything, Tia was in his face. Samantha's spent too much time cooped up like a prisoner this summer. Everyone is expecting her. And if anyone makes fun of her, there are a whole bunch of us that will make their lives really unpleasant. Besides, it looks like a perfect day to show off her new swimsuit. All Dad could manage to do was sputter. No daughter of mine is going to show off a new suit until I have given it my approval. Mom made her point really clear. Then looked terribly embarrassed. So she and Dad argued while Tia took me back to my room and helped me change into the suit. It was a full coverage competition type, with an added skirt that concealed the extra bulges in the crotch. Tia had her purchases with her, so she put on the radical thong and string outfit that had caused me much discomfort in the store. And said she was jealous of Tia's suit. Mom told that if she tried one that skimpy she would be locked in her room, and everyone, even Dad, agreed that my suit was conservative. When he pointed out that I would have tan lines, I shrugged. So will all the other girls. He looked ill. Don't I have some say in all this? Dad finally whined at us. I mean, he's my child, and... So give her a hug and your support, and us a lift to the park. Tia didn't bat an eyelid. If she had, I was afraid some of her suit might fall off. Dad didn't say a word the entire trip. We wore our suits under our clothes, and I carried my crutches. He stayed and watched as Tia wheeled me down to where everyone was gathered. It was a long time before he drove away. After being looked over by everyone, I wound up watching and drooling as Tia and the others played several games of swimsuit volleyball. And hers was not the most daring suit. Oh. I was surprised when Jeremiah and Chuck, who I knew was not in the slightest gay, having tried to get my sister into bed several times, came over and sat by me. I wondered if I was safe, but we were in public. Sam, you're sure you're not at least a little bit bi? I shook my head at Jeremiah. Darn, you'd make a great date. So how did your parents react? They both listened as I gave a blow-by-blow account, making sure not to leave out Tia's spending the night. God, I wish my parents had been that understanding when I came out to them. I stared at Jeremiah. I got tossed out on my ear, and it took 3 weeks before Dad would even talk to me on the telephone. I didn't know he had been thrown out of his house. It took 6 months of counseling for all of us before he accepted that it wasn't something he or mom did, and that I wasn't some sort of pervert. He looked sad. Dad's still not okay with what I am, but we've learned to communicate with each other. Mom's better with it, but she still thinks it's something that can be cured. I gave him a hug, which surprised both of us. Chuck looked me over again. Jeremiah asked me to meet you, after I made some comments that you must be one sick puppy to be dressing like a girl and liking it. But if I didn't know you, I'd never guess, and when he explained about the boots and your being able to walk, well, I guess I owe you an apology. I eyed him warily. Not all jocks are assholes. Just the fact that you are fighting so hard to get better makes you a better person than a lot of the guys on the team. Most of them would have just given up. Or been too afraid to be different. He patted Jeremiah on the back. Like when we pounded on Jeremiah because he was gay, and instead of calling the cops, he came back to the team and proved that gay didn't mean anything about sportsmanship. So some of us are not as bad as we seem. He stared hungrily at me again. Damn, you look a lot like Anne. I asked my sister. Oh, yeah. He looked like he liked the taste of his own toenails. Hey, looks like everyone's getting ready to go swimming. I turned to Jeremiah. Care to help a girl get out of her clothes? Both he and Chuck sputtered and turned several interesting shades of pink. The two of them basket carried me down to the pool. And one of them gently pinched my butt. What worried me is I couldn't tell which one. But the water was really warm and I liked the feel of the suit, so I had better things to do. It was early afternoon when everyone decided they were either waterlogged or done medium well. So most of them headed for the showers to change, and Jeremiah used the washdown hose to rinse me off before he carried me back to where I had left my chair and clothes. I tensed when he held me against him, and he chuckled. Still don't understand that being gay doesn't make me a psycho-rapist? I turned red and managed to relax. And after all, it didn't feel that bad to be held by him. I think I air-dried faster than the others could towel off. So I was ready for Tia to put my boots back on when she came out of the dressing rooms. We caught a ride with one of the older kids, and the whole group wound up at the peanut gallery. Since I couldn't stand up long enough to play the pinball games, I opted to munch caramel corn and feed some to Tia, who seemed happy to sit on my lap and snuggle. When some older kids we didn't know made a couple of nasty comments about lesbians, I got scared. They got the bum's rush from Chuck and Jeremiah, who were making comments about playing miniature golf with their balls. Everyone was full of popcorn and hot dogs and empty on quarters when Erica said it was time for the concert. So it was back on the road again, this time to the town square. The band, which turned out to be from the city, was still setting up. When the music started, it got crazy. I think every teenager in the area that liked to dance was there. I felt bad that I couldn't dance with Tia, but she seemed content to stay with me. There was also half the local police department present, which meant that there was very little drinking and few other problems. The only attention I attracted was that I was a person in a wheelchair, which made me different. By the time the concert was over at 10, I was thoroughly tired of sympathy. Real or plastic. And was there with Dad's car, so she gave us a ride back to the house. She had danced herself into a frazzle and was too tired to drive and talk, so the only information we got was that Mom and Dad were certain I had lost my marbles. They had thought that several times before, so I figured they'd get over it. Tia spent the night with me, this time much more quietly. We were too bushed to do more than snuggle. Mom woke us way too early and made comments about protection when she realized how entwined we were under the covers. Sam, your father and I agree that you need some help. I cringed. So we have scheduled an appointment for you with a psychologist for this morning. She wants to meet Tia too, so I will drive both of you to the appointment. We need to leave in a little over an hour, so you both need to get showered and dressed. Tia and I looked at each other after she left. Care to have someone wash your back? We almost ran out of hot water. Mom gave us a "your mother knows what you were doing in there" look when Tia rolled me into the kitchen for breakfast. So we smiled at her. Guilty as charged. Mom turned red and muttered something about gray hairs. At our destination, Mom helped Tia set up my wheelchair, and I was almost able to get out of the car myself. So I was wheeled inside an office building, and we took the elevator to an upper floor. The sign on the door read, Nagel and Associates. Dr. Cynthia Nagel, MD, PhD. Mom, do I have to? It's that or your father is going to wind up in a locked ward. With me following him. We got the hint. The receptionist asked who we were there to see. We have a 10 o'clock appointment with Dr. Nagel. The receptionist looked at her calendar. Are you meeting your son here? The appointment is for your son and his girlfriend. Mom looked a bit green. One of them. She motioned to us is my son. The receptionist gave Mom a raised eyebrows look. Oh, sorry. Cynthia didn't say anything about your son being transgendered. She looked us over carefully. Wow. Which one of them is your son? I didn't know if it was a compliment to me or an insult to Tia. Mom walked over and patted me on the head. This one. She shook her head. Or he was until a few days ago. The receptionist giggled and handed Mom a clipboard and a sheaf of papers to fill out. Mom was still filling out the paperwork when the receptionist told us that Dr. Nagel was ready to meet us. So she escorted the three of us into a large office where we met Dr. Nagel for the first time. She was quite a bit older than Mom, with long gray hair and a winning smile. Please, everyone have a seat. She chuckled. Well, unless you brought yours with you. I grimaced at the joke. From what you and your husband said on the telephone, all of a sudden your son's girlfriend has turned him into your second daughter. And instead of objecting, he seems to be enjoying being a girl. Your husband thinks he has lost his marbles, and you think he's snapped from the stress of his accident. Mom nodded. So it's safe to assume that Samuel is the girl in the wheelchair, and his girlfriend is the one standing next to him. We all nodded. Well, Samuel, how do you prefer to be addressed? Your mother says you call yourself Samantha. I don't call myself anything. Tia's got everyone else calling me Samantha, but most of them stick with Sam. Which is what everyone has always called me. She wrote something down. Do you object to being called Samantha? I shrugged. It's sort of weird, but dressed like this it makes sense. I really don't care as long as people treat me the same. The same? The same as before my accident. She looked thoughtful. I think I need to talk to your mother for a couple of minutes. So if you two will wait outside, I'll call for you when I'm ready. Tia wheeled me out of the office. Sam, what does transgendered mean? I looked up at her. Haven't the foggiest, but the doctor didn't seem at all concerned about how I'm dressed. The receptionist was obviously listening. It takes a lot to shock Dr. Nagel. Her voice was light and friendly. And you are not the first boy to come in wearing a skirt, accompanied by a parent who thought their child had lost his mind. Tia and I looked at each other. So relax. I have some candy here, and there is a soda machine in the lobby. Tia got some change from my purse and disappeared out the door. She and I were busy doing a crossword puzzle when Mom, looking totally disconcerted, came out of Dr. Nagel's office, and Dr. Nagel invited both Tia and me inside. That's all for now. See you in the next video. For more interesting stories, please subscribe to our channel, and for exclusive content, please join us on Patreon. Link in the comment.